Welcome to I Have Something to Say, the premiere episode. My name is Gabriel Boyle. I'm Executive Director of Plaza Community Services in East Los Angeles, and the nonprofit network is our program. The first show of I Have Something to Say, and we're here in lovely Eagle Rock, California. We wanted to make sure and have the open sky, the sun, but we wanted to make sure that this show was about helping nonprofits, improving nonprofits, and sharing a lot of the secrets of successes of nonprofits. Over the years, I've been involved in nonprofits really for the last 20 years. And one of the individuals that has inspired me, that has galvanized and inspired thousands within the nonprofit world and within the and outside of the nonprofit world, but in particular in this show, the nonprofit world, is Father Greg Boyle. And let me just introduce Father Boyle. Father Boyle, thank you for being here on the first show. Are you excited to be here in wonderful Eagle Rock, California?
I am. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, no problem. Just why don't you share a little bit about who you are for the audience that may not know about Homeboy Industries. Go ahead.
Well, Homeboy Industries has been around for 23 years. It's the largest gang intervention program in the country. Started in the housing projects of Boyle Heights when I was pastor there, Pico Gardens, Aliso Village, where we had 8 gangs. Mm-hmm. And now 12,000 folks a year walk through our doors to gang members, in particular, kind of a re-entry or aftercare program when they get out of prison primarily, or when they decide that they no longer want to engage in gang activity. They come and get tattoos removed, or we locate employment for them out there if we can find felony-friendly employers. Or we train them in our own businesses and hold them, if you will, in our therapeutic community there at Homeboy. So it's just quite large.
So people are able to visit you. What's your website?
Our website is homeboy-industries.org.
Okay. And you've been how long have you been a priest?
I've been a priest 25 years.
25 years. And you've been a Jesuit for how long?
Been a Jesuit for 38 years.
38 years. Now, for those who may not understand, what's the difference between being a priest and being a Jesuit?
Well, Jesuit is a religious order, so I belong to La Compañía de Jesús, to the Society of Jesus, founded by St. Ignatius, and many years ago.
So it takes you first a Jesuit, then it takes a while to.
Yeah, so I belong to a religious community like Franciscans, Dominicans, that kind of thing. And we're the largest religious order in the Catholic Church. So you're first a Jesuit, trained in that kind of community with that spirit and charism. And then, some, not everybody, gets ordained, and so I was.
So not that I'm a mathematician or anything, but you were 13 years a Jesuit before you became a priest.
Yeah, it takes a lot of training. People will always say that about Jesuits, that, a lot of education. So I have more degrees than you can shake a stick at, not that it's...
So you had to have 2 PhDs before you became a priest?
No PhDs, but lots of MAs.
And for those, a lot of the Loyola universities are Jesuit. Georgetown University is Jesuit. But let's go back to Homeboy Industries. Why, there's a lot of gang programs throughout the country. Why in particular is Homeboy Industries different, including the name? Why is it different?
Well, I think it started out as one thing, which was a response to the 8 gangs in the community where I was pastor. And I started to bury young people, my first in 1988. And I've buried 168 kids since then. Not all of them from that community, obviously, but now that I run this very large gang program, I know a lot of gang members. So I think initially, our motto was nothing stops a bullet like a job. So we had employment, I kept saying all the time, this does about 85% of what needs to get done. It gives a gang member a reason to get up in the morning and a reason not to gang bang the night before. But what was that remaining percentage? What is it that needed to get done? And that's what I think we've discovered at Homeboy, which has made us, I think, successful, is that we're a holding community. We repair attachment. In the psychological terms, you might say. That if the psychological task is for a gang member to address his own disorganized attachment, his mom was frightening or frightened. And you can't really calm yourself down if you've never been soothed. So better late than never. And you get to, everybody's in therapy. We have case managers. We have what we call a secure base, where what they gain at Homeboy in our community there is an ability to emotionally regulate and to be socially related and to have access to your own autobiographical story and to learn how to navigate what the world's going to throw at you. So they gain resilience, and then they can move on. And I think that has been the thing that we've discovered that makes our place different than just a social services delivery system. You know, it's really more than that.
You know, some would, over the years, I think, not that anyone's immune to this, you've probably had some critique because your approach when you started was different, and some have evolved to accept your approach. What have been some of the critiques of your approach to working with gang members?
Well, I've been at this now for a quarter of a century, so the first 10 years were really marked truly by death threats, bomb threats, and hate mail. And it's hard to even retrieve that time because now quite the opposite is true. I think the city has embraced what Homeboy does in quite a remarkable way.
The city of Los Angeles.
The people in the city.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to suggest that that we get government funding because we frankly don't. We ought to, but we don't. And so, but the people in the city has overwhelmingly embraced this approach. And so, but it's important to recall that that wasn't the case. The first 10 years was really, and again, that's not a measure of what we did then as opposed to now. It's a question of how thoroughly solid the demonizing was in the first 10 years that we started this. That the people in the city demonized this population. They were the them. And why are you helping them? And the friend of our enemy is our enemy. So if we hate them, we're going to hate you because you're helping them. That was just the solid first decade of the work of Homeboy Industries. And then that evolved in an incremental way where people want to go, well, no, there is no them. No. And then I really believe that people started to move into a compassion that in fact can stand in awe at what the poor have to carry rather than stand in judgment at how they carry it. So I think they've abandoned largely this kind of demonizing sense, and they moved away from tough on crime, I think, to a smart on crime. And I think they see Homeboy fitting into a smart on crime approach.
Now, you still run, you're the executive director of Homeboy Industries. So you have, how big is your budget?
The budget is $9 million.
$9 million.
Which is a bargain.
How over the years, some watching today might want to know what's the best way to start or to grow a nonprofit organization? How would you? It's a tough question, but how did you grow Homeboy Industries? So that people can say, oh, this is a path that I will take. I don't think it's a 1 through 10 strategy, but what advice would you give others?
Don't try this at home, basically.
Okay.
No, apart from that.
There's no pill, there's no...
No, I think that the key thing is stuff has to be born from below. And that's the caution. A lot of times people want to airlift their idea in. I have this idea. And people ask me often, how did this idea come to you? Or as if I had this idea. I didn't really have the idea. It was all organic. It began in a place with people, with needs, with problems, with crises. And we responded to each one from below. The first thing in terms of gang outreach in my history and at that parish was that suddenly there were junior high age kids who were selling drugs, gang members, who no school wanted. That was the first reality.
Right.
And because they weren't in school, they were creating havoc. So that was the first thing we did. We didn't hatch some idea. We responded in the moment to something. And so we started a school. That was the very first thing.
Dolores Mission Alternative.
That's right. And then they came to the church, and then as you listened to them, they said, if only we had jobs. So then we tried to find factories that would hire them, the ones that surrounded the projects. Then we couldn't find enough jobs, so then we started our own businesses. So each thing evolved, and then somebody comes in with an alarming tattoo and says, I'm having a hard time finding a job. We said, well, let's find a doctor. And now we have 2 laser machines, 12 doctors, 4,000 laser treatments a year. No place on the planet removes more tattoos. But that was because it evolved organically, as opposed to people are always coming up with ideas, and they want to kind of airlift that idea into a community, and that won't work.
Okay.
That's why it's important to kind of be attentive, to listen, to start from below, to be connected to a community. This is why faith-based or church-based stuff works, because that's where faith ought to take you, to a confronting of the stuff that holds people back.
So let's take that $9 million. Where does it come from every year? From individual donors, from foundations, from events? How?
Yes.
From all.
All of the above. I mean, if it doesn't come from an arena in an area that it ought to, that would be the public entity money, county, state, city. We have gotten that in the past. But the truth is, the County of Los Angeles isn't in possession of a program. Not probation, not their mental health department, nothing that's more cost effective or successful than Homeboy Industries. I mean, we save the county so much money that it's shameful that we don't get money from them, frankly.
So let's go into, you brought up a good point. You have a critique of government and their use of money. What is that critique?
Well, again, if we were to take 33 minors released from probation camp, and if we kept them from returning to probation camp for 1 year, we've saved the county $6 million. Now, we do that with
one child?
No, 33.
Oh, 33.
33 minors.
33 minors.
Released from probation camp, and there are 20 of them in the county. And if we can hold them and keep them from returning to probation camp for 1 year, we've saved the county $6 million.
Wow, that's a.
Now our budget is $9 million. Now, and obviously 33. That's crazy. We do far more than 33.
Right. Hundreds.
Yeah, and so we save the county so many millions of dollars. And right now, just take tattoo removal. You know, the county transports, because I say yes, they transport in handcuffs and shackles kids from camp. We shut the place down, basically. I mean, we let them come through a side door. We place our security there so kids aren't looking in at them. We remove their tattoos, treat them all, and they go out a side door, they return to their camp, and we get exactly zero from the county of Los Angeles. Now, if they took them on trans to get their teeth fixed, trust me, the county would be paying that dentist. So, you know, I'm into, public shaming, I think is probably a good thing, that you want the county to go, wow, I don't know, I think you ought to be paying us. I'm not saying no to these camps because you want to always say yes to that population. Plus, you want them to come back afterwards. They see the place. They see the menu of services. And our place is not for those who need help. It's only for those who want it, so you have to walk through the doors.